In a quiet corner of Spain, in a place called La Mancha, there lived a man who read too many books. Not just many books, but the wrong kind of books. Stories of knights and quests, enchanted swords, noble sacrifices, and perfect honor. His name was Alonso Quijano, and over time, the boundary between the world on the page and the world outside his window slowly dissolved, until one day, reality itself could no longer compete with imagination. He decided he was a knight. He renamed himself Don Quixote de la Mancha, polished old, rusted armor that barely held together, mounted a thin and weary horse he called Rocinante, and dedicated his life to restoring justice to a world he believed had lost its way. He chose a lady to adore, Dulcinea, an ordinary peasant woman transformed in his mind into a noble princess worthy of epic devotion. With that, he rode out, convinced destiny was waiting. Almost immediately, the world refused to cooperate. Windmills became giants in his eyes, spinning monsters that threatened the land. Inns became castles, shepherds became armies. Every beating he received, every humiliation he suffered, he explained away as the work of dark enchantments determined to stop him. To everyone else, Don Quixote was ridiculous. To himself, he was heroic. And yet, he was never cruel, never selfish, never small. Along his journey, Don Quixote is joined by Sancho Panza, a practical, hungry, deeply human man, riding a donkey and motivated by simple hopes, food, comfort, and maybe a small reward if this madness pays off. Sancho sees the world clearly, but he follows anyway. At first, he tries to correct his master. Then he tries to manage him. Eventually, something unexpected happens. Sancho begins to believe a little too. This is where the story deepens. Don Quixote and Sancho are not just characters. They are two halves of the human condition. One lives by ideals and stories, the other by experience and survival. Cervantes shows how neither is complete on its own. Pure idealism becomes delusion. Pure realism becomes emptiness. Wisdom lives in the tension between them. Throughout the novel, Don Quixote fails constantly. He is beaten, laughed at, and deceived. But his failures reveal something unsettling. The people who defeat him are often smaller than he is. They may be more realistic, but they are rarely more noble. They accept injustice as normal. Don Quixote refuses to. The book quietly asks a dangerous question. Is it foolish to believe the world should be better than it is, or is it foolish to stop believing altogether? Cervantes does not mock Don Quixote to destroy him. He mocks him to protect him. The laughter disarms the reader, allowing truth to slip through. We laugh at Don Quixote because we recognize him. We have all chased ideas that turned out to be windmills. We have all believed stories that gave our lives meaning, even when they weren't strictly true. And maybe that matters. As the journey continues, reality presses harder. Tricks grow crueler. The world seems determined not just to correct Don Quixote, but to break him. Eventually, he is defeated not by giants or villains, but by a man dressed as a knight of reason, who forces him to give up his quest and return home. And then, something heartbreaking happens. Back in his village, Don Quixote regains his sanity. The stories fall away. The knight disappears. Alonso Quijano returns. He renounces chivalry, apologizes for his fantasies, and prepares for death as a sensible man. This ending is not triumphant. It is quiet and unsettling, because once Don Quixote becomes reasonable, the world loses something. The man who dared to imagine justice where none existed is gone. The dreamer dies, cured, and the reader is left wondering whether the cure was worth the cost. Don Quixote endures because it refuses to give us an easy moral. It does not say dreams are good or bad. It says dreams are dangerous and necessary, that stories can mislead us, but without them, life becomes smaller, flatter, and harder to love. The wisdom of Don Quixote is not to abandon reality, nor to worship fantasy, but to recognize that meaning itself is a kind of story we choose to live by. We need Sancho's grounding to survive. We need Quixote's vision to rise. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: even when the world laughs at you, even when you fail, even when your ideals collapse under the weight of reality, there is dignity in trying to live by something higher than convenience. Because a world without dreamers may be practical, but it will never be heroic. Thank you for listening to this narration and reflection on Don Quixote. Some stories fade with time, others linger, quietly challenging how we see the world. If you'd like to hear more reflections on enduring books and timeless ideas, consider subscribing to the channel for future narrations as they're released.